You mentioned, pulling out, what you would like to see is getting out of Iraq and Afghanistan tomorrow. That's something the current president talked about, is getting out of Afghanistan and Iraq, and he's obviously kind of put the brakes on since he's taken office on that. What do you think about President Obama's stance and kind of where he's gone with that from his initial campaign stance of we're going to get out of Iraq and we're going to reevaluate Afghanistan? What do you think? How would you grade his job there?
Well, I would grade it as horrible. I certainly listened to President Obama campaigning, and on the bright side, I thought electing President Obama would result in no military presence in Iraq, and I thought that his rhetoric regarding Afghanistan would be that we would take a close look at it, and I felt that by taking a close look at it, that we would be out of Afghanistan also, believing that that is just not a threat to our national security. Threat to our national security is Al-Qaeda in the tribal regions of Pakistan, and Pakistan is an ally.
Right. There seems to be, in doing some research on you, and I've watched a little bit on the web about you, and there seems to be a disconnect with yourself and other more mainstream Republicans. Can you define what that difference might be for some people that might not know?
Well, I would just argue that what Republicans Republicans have always been to me. The reason I'm in the Republican Party and remain a Republican is that I think Republicans do a really good job of balancing the checkbook, of doing a really good job of really looking at what we're spending and doing a good job of managing that pocketbook. Now, Sean, I was asked a couple of weeks ago on national TV what I thought about repealing President Obama's health care plan. Well, I think that we should repeal President Obama's health care plan, but I just thought that the Republicans, as a way to gain credibility, should offer up a repeal of the prescription health care benefit that they passed when they controlled both houses of Congress and the presidency. My point here is that both parties can share in this spending and the predicament that we find ourselves in, that predicament being bankruptcy. Americans did give Republicans a chance at doing this, and I think Americans in their wisdom wanted a balanced budget. Why Americans would give Republicans another chance at this, I'm not sure, but I am convinced that Republicans are the only party that are going to be able to do this. And that I think the biggest threat to our national security, I think the biggest threat to our way of life, is the fact that we continue to spend more money than what we take in. My entire life, I've watched government spend more money than what it takes in, and I have always thought that that is just not sustainable and that there would be a day of reckoning. I think that day of reckoning is here right now.
Okay. One other thing I wanted to touch on was where you kind of came from, your background. You built a construction business, is that correct?
Well, so I started a one-man handyman business in Albuquerque in 1974, and in 1994 I actually had 1,000 employees, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, pipe fitting. Really, American dream come true. Show up on time, do what you say you'll do for people, do a little bit more than what you say you'll do for people. A real testament to 1,000 really hardworking employees. I sold that business in 1999. Nobody lost their job, and business is doing better than ever.
And that kind of brings us full circle. You say up to 1994 you had 1,000 employees, and then that's kind of where you took over and you were governor of New Mexico. So that kind of brings us full circle.
Well, so I became governor of New Mexico in 1995 and served as governor of New Mexico through 2002. So 2 terms as governor of New Mexico. And I really view my venture into politics as entrepreneurial. I'd never been involved in politics prior to running for governor of New Mexico. I've always thought politics was a high calling, be in a position to do good by others, and I realize that whole notion of doing good by others is completely up for grabs. Mm-hmm. I know that you could have lines of people out the door here that would tell you that I that I was a horrible governor. I recognize that, but in my estimation, I really made a positive difference, and every single issue was about trying to understand the issue, trying to find out exactly what was what, and base my decisions and actions on that for the benefit of New Mexicans, and not any consideration given to politics.
And left with a high approval rating, if my understanding is correct.
Left with a high approval rating in a state that was 2-to-1 Democrat.
Okay. And the last question I've got for you is, most people think about New Mexico governor, they think about Bill Richardson. He's obviously had presidential aspirations. Anything there for you?
Well, right now I am the 501c4, Our America Initiative,
right.
And it's an advocacy committee. I'm the honorary chairman, which allows me to be a political activist. But Sean, I can't talk about running for political office as part of my legal status with the 501c4. Okay. Sorry for the cop-out, but I sure don't want to get sideways with my legal status.
He's towing the line. That's all right. So, all right. Well, thanks for talking with us, Governor.
All right, Sean. Thanks.